Hello everyone, and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Marilyn. I'm 75, I live in Hawaii, and I love books, like I'm sure you all do. Today I'm doing something different in the sense that in my last videos I have been not talking about the books that I've been reading, because I haven't been reading many books in print form for various reasons, mainly because of my eyesight, some health problems as you all know, and also because I've been reading the whole collection of one mystery writer's books, and I think I'm going to save that for March Mystery Madness. I'm not sure yet, so I'm going to read this author, who's not Agatha Christie's whole, and I think they call it oeuvre. I don't know if that's French or not, but that's a hint, by the way. But first, I want to talk about Victober and the wonderful book that I showed you once before that was gifted to me by a subscriber and a friend. And it has, for all of you who love beautiful books, this is one of the most beautiful books I've ever owned. Gold, front to back. And of course, this book is Jane Eyre, so it's a Victober book. And what's so great about it is that the font is pretty large. So I've been able to start reading it. But I've started reading the preface. And the preface is really interesting. And I plan to read this book hopefully in print form. But the preface, now of course we know that Jane Eyre used a pseudonym, Currier Bell, in 1848. And note to the third edition, I thought this was really cute and I thought I would share it with you. I avail myself of the opportunity which a third edition of Jane Eyre affords me of again addressing a word to the public to explain that my claim to the title of novelist rests on this one work alone. If therefore the authorship of other works of fiction has been attributed to me, an honor is awarded where it is not merited, and consequently denied where it is justly due. This explanation will serve to rectify mistakes which may already have been made, and to prevent future errors. And I think this was written by Currier Bell on April 13th, 1848, because he knew that that the Brontë sisters were probably going to be coming out with more books. I don't know if this is the reason or not, but beside how beautiful this book is and how beautiful the font is, it has something that I really, really love in books, and that's the ribbon. And this one is one of my favorite colors, which is teal. So, I mean, it's perfect in every way. So I hope to be reading this, starting it in Victober. I can't promise that I'm going to finish it in Victober. So what else have I been reading? Now, I've been reading a few DNFs, books, beside the mystery, all the mysteries I've been reading. But I bought a new book. But before I tell you about the new book that I bought, I want to just follow up on where I asked you a couple of weeks ago to choose a book for me. And the finalists were Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury and Summer by Edith Wharton. Two very qualified books, and both of which I want to read someday. I started Fahrenheit 451. I think it won by 1 point. But it just wasn't right for me at the moment. And I explained that in my last video, that it seemed too current. Things were happening in the world that seemed very similar to what Ray Bradbury envisioned for the future. Like I said before, he wrote this in 1951. And I'm so impressed with his vision of the future that I want to read some of his other books. I heard he wrote a book called Blackberry Wine or something like that that was really good. Let me know in the comments if you've read anything else by Ray Bradbury. And of course, you know, I'm not a science fiction reader, but I was pulled in by the first chapter, even before that. So I know that one day when I'm in a better frame of mind to be reading science fiction that sounds current, at least pretty current, that I will definitely be reading this. But the book that probably I will be reading this month is Summer by Edith Wharton. I've only read one Edith Wharton book, The Age of Innocence. I liked it. Like I said, it was a book about old New York, and I'm from New York. And like I said the last time, it's a brilliant evocation of a season in the life of a restless small-town girl in one of only 2 country novels by Edith Wharton. The only reason that I didn't read this right away is because someone said that it was also sad. And I'm not in a sad frame of mind right now. I'm in a make me laugh, Nick Hornby, high fidelity kind of mood right now. Mystery also. That I would call them literary mysteries are the ones that I gravitate to. Okay, now to the book I bought. And I was looking all over BookTube for the booktuber who I assumed was a booktuber who recommended this book. But it's a book of short stories, and I'm going to go into that in a minute. I am not a short story lover by any stretch of the imagination. I want a story to go on longer than a short story usually does. And I want to show you a book that I didn't DNF. I read it, but I really disliked it. And it's not the book. He's a good writer. I got it in Canada. In fact, Lindy from Lindy's Magpie Reads put it in my hand and said, buy it, or do you want to buy it? And and it's called Binge by Douglas Coupland. And it says it's called Binge because it's impossible to read just one, which is true. But I have to say there wasn't one of these micro, I don't know what it's called, micro short stories or microvision. I don't think it's microvision. Microfiction, that's it. There wasn't one story that I liked. And it says also 60 short stories to make your brain feel different. I like that. But this made my brain feel different in a way that wasn't a good way, if that makes any sense. But I'm going to be unhauling a lot of books and gifting and giveaways pretty soon. And I'm going to put this on the pile because I'm sure that, well, it's a Canadian author. And it says that this is a mind bender. Coupland's voice is as clever as ever. Winnipeg Free Press said this. And 30 years after Douglas Coupland broke the fiction mold and defined a generation with Generation X, he is back with Binge. So I haven't read Generation X. It sounds interesting. I have children who are Generation X, at least one for sure. And so in case you're really interested in this book, let me just tell you a little bit about it. Here, the narrators vary from story to story as Coupland catches what he calls the voice of the people, inspired by the way we write about ourselves and our experiences in online forums. Probably this is why I didn't get along with the book. The characters, of course, are his own crackpots, cranks, and sweetie pies, dad dancers, and perpetrators of barbecues. I don't know what that is. But lonely people, dying people, silly people. Yeah, I just didn't get a feel-good feel about this book. However, I don't, like I said, I don't know where I found this book. I looked in all of the familiar places on BookTube. So if you are the person who recommended this book pretty recently, please let me know. It is called Binocular Vision. It's a beautiful book. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about the author, Edith Pearlman. She just passed away in 2021. And like many others, she was discovered very late in life. But I watched a video of her reading her book, and after I was recommended it, and after I bought it. And I haven't bought many books in a very long time, and to think that I bought a book of short stories is very unusual for me. I have another book of short stories that made the top 10 of my books that year. So it's not that I'm against short stories, but I'm for a short story that's going to, what I feel is going to be a good short story. Okay, so this book, Binocular Vision, was published in 2011, and it says new and selected stories, and it won the National Book Award for Fiction finalist, and 2012 the National Book Critics Circle Award. And this was blurbed, or I should say introduced, by Ann Patchett. And I haven't read anything by Ann Patchett, but I know she's very, very popular on Booktube as an author. And the blurbs on this are so wonderful, as well as the introduction, that I had to read you a little bit about what Ann Patchett said first. I read the titular story, Binocular Vision, and it was very nice. I enjoyed it very much. Very unusual. It's hard to talk about a short story without spoiling it, but basically it's about a boy who picks up a pair of binoculars and starts inspecting things around his neighborhood. That's all I'll say about it, but it was really good. So she starts out by saying, Ann Patchett, to that great list of human mysteries which include the construction of the pyramids and the persistent use of styrofoam, which it might be changing now, as a packing material, let me add this one. Why isn't Edith Pearlman famous? Of course, by not having the level of recognition her work so clearly deserves, she gives those of us who love her the smug satisfaction of being in the know. Say the words Edith Pearlman to certain enlightened readers and you are instantly acknowledged as an insider, a person who understands and appreciates that which is beautiful. Still, I think that Binocular Vision, New and Selected Stories, should be the book with which Edith Pearlman casts off her secret handshake status and takes up her rightful position as a national treasure. And then she put her stories beside those of John Updike and Alice Munro. That's where they belong. Now also, it says in the back, Ann Patchett, let's see if I know anybody here. Well, T.C. Boyle, author of The Women, say Edith Pearlman is an absolute master of the form. There are stories that abjure tricks and flash for brilliantly drawn characters, classic construction, and language that sings and aches all at once. How can you miss this one? It just says a major, glorious book. To show you a little bit about it, I watched Edith Pearlman herself when she became famous. She did become famous, as Ann Patchett predicted. She read a very short paragraph, a few paragraphs from one of her books, from one of her short stories, and I thought, if she thought that that story was worth reading to an audience, I thought that this might bring you to her. And it's called If Love Were All. And I think that this short story is one of her older stories, not the newer stories, and it did win awards when it did come out. So basically, this is about the end of World War II, when children were caught in so many ways, so many different ways, and of gathering the ones that survived together from different walks of life. So that's the setup for this short paragraph. The children came, wave after wave of them. Polish children, Austrian children, Hungarian children, German children. Some came like parcels, bought from the government that withheld passports from their parents. These children wore coats, and each carried a satchel. Some came in unruly bands, having lived like squirrels in the mountains or like rats by the river. Some came escorted by social workers who couldn't wait to get rid of them. Few understood English. Some knew only Yiddish. Some had infectious diseases. Some seemed feeble-minded, but it turned out that they had only been temporarily enfeebled by hardship. They slept for a night or two in a seedy hotel near Waterloo Station. Sonia and Mrs. Levenger, who directed the agency, stayed in the hotel too, intending to sleep. They were always tired, for the bombing had begun. So I was wrong because I didn't read the story. So this is during the war, not after the war, but during the war, there were children that were sent places to keep them safe or to save them from horrible things that were happening. Unfortunately, not enough children were saved. But this book, I only read 3 stories, and I am so excited to share this book with you, and so glad that I bought it, because I'm not buying many books lately for many, many different reasons. I want to keep a small maybe 2 bookcases of books that I'm going to read over and over again, and I feel like this is going to be one of them. So are you one of the insiders? Well, now not so much an insider, who has read Binocular Vision or knows anything about Edith Pearlman? I just know she was born, I want to say Rhode Island. I could be wrong on that. And she went to Radcliffe College and studied literature. That's really all I know about her. She was born to Jewish parents who came from Europe, I think. And she lived to 87. So what a blessing that is. I hope it happens to me. So anyway, this was before she won the actual book award, National Book Award, the National Book Critics Award. So it says that she's a finalist for the National Book Award. So let me know. I know some of you smart people out there have read books that I only aspire to read, and if it wasn't for this community, I don't think that I would ever have found this, because it was, I think it's a small press published book. Now let me see if I can find it. It says printed in Michigan. Okay, so it says Lookout Books, Department of Creative Writing, University of North Carolina, Wilmington. So this is one of those college small presses, and I'm just so delighted to bring it to you and to read it along with all my mysteries. So that's my short video for this week. It's going to rain soon in Hawaii. There's something that I always start a video when it's very rarely rains here, though we are getting into the rainy season. But I'm going to be back with you very soon with more books, more updates, more book responses. And please, if you like this video, I heard that likes are really important to bring the algorithm to other people. So like and say hi in the comments. And I appreciate all of you who watch my channel, who support my channel. Thank you so much, and I wish you, as always, from Hawaii, aloha oi.